Now, Typhoon Bavi is passing just towards the west of Okinawa Honto today. It has intensified overnight, but the good news, the max of the winds are staying offshore of the islands. The bad news, we have been seeing some pretty decent rain bands coming onshore. Actually, these images shared to me on my Facebook page, Robert Spetto Weather, if you do want to go ahead and check that out. Max winds have been reported gusting upwards of about 48 to 50 miles per hour in Naha City, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency. That is relatively light compared to what we've seen in Ishigaki-Jima, just towards the southwest of Okinawa Honto, with winds upwards of about 75 miles per hour reported there. So the storm has been packing a little bit of a punch with these outer rain bands, which is why I continue to stress don't take it lightly, because some of those bands still could pack short time heavy winds. Not a full-on typhoon by any means at all, but it is still packing a little bit of a punch, despite the fact the max winds are staying offshore. Now, with that said, there are some pretty decent winds offshore. Actually, let's take a look at the latest tracks from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, with winds upwards about 70, gusting to 85 knots. It is tracking there towards the north and eventually going to be turning towards the northwest, with those core winds staying about 100 to 150 miles towards the west of Okinawa Honto. These rain bands, though, I mentioned, still are there, and they're still packing a bit of a punch. You can see them wrapping around right like this here as you go ahead through about 2 to 3 a.m. Now, look at this. This right here, this, with those darker areas just towards the west, that is the core. That is that inner eye wall. That's where, if that was unfortunate enough to jog about 50 miles towards the east, you'd be looking at a full-on typhoon with potential damage overnight here on Sunday into Monday morning. Thankfully, that has passed on by. I already seen the comments on some of my social media platforms, people saying, "Where's the storm? This is boring. Nothing came." It was a very close call. And this is always the case with island forecasting, because if this was, let's say, the Gulf Coast in the United States, somebody would have been impacted because it's going to hit somewhere. But here, if it doesn't hit the island, no one really feels it, and thus it's not recorded. That's the problem with island forecasting. It gets tough sometimes. I personally believe it's a challenge, and a welcome challenge at that. All right, so let's look ahead at 4, 5, up to about 7, 8 a.m. Center of circulation passing still towards the west, with those winds cruising in from the south. So Naha going to continue to get those gustier winds, and then the higher winds will switch over to the west coast. So if you are anywhere along the western seaboard or the northwestern seaboard and you haven't really felt the winds yet, it is going to pick up heading through the morning, just because the wind's shifting in from that direction. So you're not getting the ridge in the center of the island, kind of giving you a bit of protection. Meanwhile, that does start to move off towards the north, and as we go ahead into Monday evening, you can see those winds slowly backing off, pull up the precipitation. Still got some scattered showers in the backside of it by Monday evening, but overall, as we head into Tuesday, conditions will be vastly improving, with some dry air starting to fill in. So at Okinawa, I do want to pull back the picture here and kind of give you an idea, if you are in the Korean Peninsula, what to expect with this, because it is moving off in that direction. Millions of people out ahead of this along the west coast, specifically around Seoul, where this possibly could be coming onshore as a Cat 1, the Category 2 typhoon. We have not seen that in a few years in the Korean Peninsula, but I can tell you, every time we see a tropical system come on shore in this area, it brings a lot of rainfall. Check this out. This is actually indicating in the DPRK along northern areas of the Korean Peninsula, you get up into those mountain ranges there, upwards of about 300 to 500 millimeters in these lighter areas of gray. Even around Seoul, 50 to 100 millimeters of precipitation in a dense urban area over a short time very well could cause some pretty significant flooding. So the winds are definitely going to be an issue here. I think saving grace is that it is a lot of rocky shorelines in that area, so storm surge is backed off a bit, even though Seoul is pretty low-lying. But I think the rain's still going to be a major issue. The west coast of South Korea and all of the DPRK, and eventually maybe even off towards northeastern areas of China, you could be looking at some pretty decent rainfall wrapping up with this as well. So it is a multifaceted storm system here as it tracks into that direction. Now, with that said, I do want to kind of scroll ahead here, and now you're looking at it into next Monday, next Tuesday, next Wednesday. The GFS is picking up on something small out there. If we pull back the bigger picture, that there is a little bit of an area here near Guam that is increasing showers actually across that island, the Marianas, as we go ahead through the end of the weekend and into the early part of this week. But also you get that moisture flow coming in behind Bavi, which is continuing to bring some scattered showers across northern areas of the Philippines. So even though this storm system is moving north, tropics still remain relatively active. That is to be expected in the month of August. especially the latter part of August, this is actually very calm compared to what we typically see. I know in the Atlantic, everybody's freaking out about two hurricanes in the same area at the same time. I know for a fact Josh Morgan and James Reynolds a few years back actually went through 3 back-to-back typhoons in less than a week here. I believe it was in southern Japan. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're seeing right now is very, very unusual just because of the lack of storm systems. I'm not saying I'm wishing for more storms or anything like that. I'm just saying it's unusual, guys. So if you don't like typhoons, this year is your year. 2020 is a positive for some people. Anyways, that's all, guys. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please let me know in the comment box below. I always appreciate feedback. Yeah, lastly, if you're still watching, remember I'm still looking for a job in Japan. Have been for years, ever since I left NHK 3 years ago. It's just one of those decisions. If I could go back and do it again, still be working in Tokyo, that's for sure. Anyways, guys, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching.